the protagonist arrives at the company housing in the outskirts of Tokyo after being on the bullet train and a local train for 3 hours. He has been instructed to spend 7 full days in the seemingly haunted house until mass production starts at the factory. Through a note left in the property and a phone with a text message from the property management officer called Sato, the protagonist is instructed to check the water flow and lightings in the property and to ensure to take all of his belongings with him at the end of his stay in 7 days, as the property is scheduled to be demolished as soon as he checks out. As the protagonist begins to complete his tasks, he becomes haunted by an ominous ghostly woman following him room to room. The protagonist, horrified to what he sees, unsure if he's losing his mind or simply seeing things due to the long trip that he had arriving here, he dismisses it as hallucinations to keep his sanity. After he finishes his tasks, suddenly the TV turns on its own, with the menacing ghost of this mysterious woman appearing, clearly having sinister intentions to harm the protagonist when he thinks quickly on his feet, offering the ghost a donut he bought earlier on his way, which makes the ghost instantly get in a good mood and take the donut, as the ghost seems to be not herself when she's hungry. This kind gesture displayed by the protagonist makes the ghost disappear, being surprised, as no one before has been this kind to her, which develops some sort of a hint that the ghost might have had a tragic story, losing her life, being resentful and angry now. But with the slightest depiction of compassion, she becomes a much more friendly ghost. But of course, it's the very first day and the protagonist has 6 more days to spend with this mysterious ghost. I will call the protagonist Chad from now on, as no one would stand a chance against this horrifying ghost apart from someone called Chad. As the second day begins, Sato sends Chad another message with new instructions of completing some other tasks of collecting some equipment. As the protagonist starts collecting the items, he comes across a toy beetle bug, which comes in very handy when he encounters the menacing ghost once more, as she jump scares him and tries to touch him, which I only presume to be a very bad thing. She sees the bug and instantly runs away, cowering behind the wall when Chad informs her it's just a toy, which she checks for herself and disappears, but not before showing her dismay and annoyance to feeling scared from the bug. Starting the 3rd day, Chad treading carefully, he knows how much the ghost loves donuts, so of course the best course of action would be to hide the donut somewhere safe from the claws of this ghost. After managing to hide it somewhere after an arduous journey to find Tupperware, he's brought to his knees, witnessing the malicious ghost taunting him, waving his donut around before disappearing with it, making someone as strong and brave as Chad losing his morale and second-guessing himself. The day passes on and the 4th day begins. Unfortunately, this malicious, cruel ghost never lets Chad be and hides all the chopsticks, leaving a tired and exhausted Chad without any utensils to enjoy his instant noodles in the middle of the night, coming back home from a long day at work. On this horrifying new journey, tasked to find substitutes to chopsticks, Chad finds the smartphone flashing with a new text message from the development division team by the manager called Yokoyama that the property is only rumored to be haunted. As a side note, they also ask Chad about how Nina is doing, seeming as if it is a close family member. But according to what we saw in the beginning, we learned Chad has 3 cats, and we saw how he was missing one of his cats as he was looking for a prolonged period of time at the picture on his phone. So is it possible that Nina is one of his cats? After a challenging search before the noodles become too soggy, he manages to craft some stuff to use as chopsticks. But as soon as he finishes, the ghost brings back all the utensils, revealing that she's messing with Chad. As she appears calmly sitting at the table, Chad asks her what is keeping her here and why she simply doesn't go to the afterlife. To which she explains that she always wanted to live with a good-looking man, but to her disappointment, Chad is not one. Her words, although only written, hurt more than flaming daggers. Chad stays to finish his tasks, with 3 more days remaining. On the 5th day, Chad notices the ghost lady breaking a cat figurine which was next to the TV. Her clumsiness embarrasses her and seemingly upsets her. Chad, to develop a good relationship with her as he stuck with her for the next few days, or simply due to his kindness, decides to find a way to fix the broken figurine. At the end of the day, as she attacks Chad once more, he offers her the fixed cat figurine, which instantly calms her down, seeming to be happy. The day ends and day 6 begins with Chad beginning to understand the ghost lady better, and instead of being terrified, actually being worried to what would happen to her after the demolition of the property. Unfortunately, the ghost has a very naughty and mischievous personality, constantly taunting and messing with Chad, threatening him if he doesn't solve a riddle that she has created. He would be stuck with her in this room forever. Low-key, it seems as if she wants Chad to stay with her, and in fact, she finds him to be good-looking and nice, but she can't bring herself to admit it, having an unbreakable ego even after death, being a ghost. Reading a text message by Yokoyama, the general manager of the development division, he explains how he feels sorry for an unreasonable yet important request that he made from Chad when he just had joined the company 5 years ago, being very ambiguous to what this request was. After solving the riddle, the ghost lady, after teasingly scaring Chad, she prepares some drinks for both of them to drink and spend some quality time together. She seems to have really appreciated Chad's presence in the past few days, developing a close bond with him. While quietly sitting next to each other and enjoying the drinks, Chad thinks to himself of what would happen to this lonely ghost who seemingly only has social interaction difficulties, and being a ghost doesn't really help, not being able to help but feel bad for her. As the next day begins, being the 7th and final day before the demolition, Chad coming back to the house, he witnesses the ghost lady being in a bad mood, throwing furniture around, clear that she is upset that the property is being demolished and he is going to leave her. Receiving a text message from Ito, working in development section 1, he explains there was a woman named Madoka Sawaizi who worked at the company housing 5 years ago, who unfortunately passed away due to unexplained reasons in the property, and therefore this ghost belongs to no other than Madoka, who has been trapped in this property for a very long time and craving some company ever since. Madoka, being angered, having bottled up anger for such a long time, lunges at Chad with a knife but can't bring herself to harm him, giving Chad some space to bid farewell and talk for one last time. Chad sits next to Madoka and explains how this property is going to be demolished as soon as he leaves, and they will probably never see each other again. He explains what his prediction is to why Madoka is lingering in this world, not truly being for good-looking men. He shows the picture of the cat that he was staring at from the beginning, explaining the entire ambiguous request Mr. Yokoyama made 5 years ago. Madoka passed away 5 years ago, who was the original owner of this cat named Nina. Having nowhere to stay and having lost her owner, Mr. Yokoyama takes Nina for a while before requesting from Chad to keep her, as he's a cat lover and Mr. Yokoyama had a child allergic to cats. Therefore, it explains who Nina is and how important she is to Chad. That is why the cat figurine was so important to Madoka as well, feeling so happy when Chad fixed it. Unfortunately, Nina passes away 2 weeks ago, with Chad explaining how loved she truly was, being kept with other cats as he is a cat lover. This breaks Madoka's heart, yet she is happy to hear all of this, that Nina had a great life under the care of Chad. The night ends with Madoka disappearing, with the final day, 8th day, Chad helping the moving team to move everything out before demolition. There's no sign of Madoka anywhere to be seen anymore, as it appears that she has finally moved on to the next life, knowing Nina is in a better place. But of course, her taunting and mischievous personality doesn't let it end in a heartwarming way, leaving a note how she truly wanted to live her last days on Earth with a good-looking guy, and how disappointed she was when Chad was the last resident, using this property as the company housing while he does work on his business trip. Despite that, she explains how this was a blessing, actually, as Chad was a very good person, making her enjoy her last days, and how she truly appreciated Chad taking care of Nina. Before actually leaving, Madoka appears to say goodbye to Chad in person when he passes her an important item that he's been keeping with himself, a toy attached to his smartphone containing the hair of Nina's corpse. Madoka in return gives him the cat figurine, saying goodbye before she moves on to the next world. As Chad gets on the train going back home, he finally gets a donut, knowing he can eat it in peace without Madoka stealing it again. As he tries to take a bite, he regrets jinxing it, thinking that his donut would be safe, as Madoka appears in the train, holding Chad's hand and stealing his donut. Chad disappointed that his donut is gone again, and he will probably never be able to eat donuts in peace. Madoka does something shocking, offering the donut to Chad, enjoying it both together, while Nina's ghost appears sleeping on the train's chair, displaying that she has found her good-looking man, or in other words, someone much better than having just a nice face, someone with a golden heart. Most importantly, not afraid of having a ghost next to him. Now, after this heartwarming happy ending, with Madoka finally finding a good person not to be isolated, reuniting with Nina after 5 years, and Chad finding a teasing ghost friend always by his side to make his days exciting and fun, there is an alternate ending where things don't go so well. In case Chad doesn't burn the incantations found throughout the property, the perspective changes to Madoka, who wakes up in a green field in the undemolished property where she lost her life, being reunited with Nina, who is well and alive, being the most playful that she has ever been, displaying how she is finally in heaven where she belongs, being happy and her face being all clear and healthy, unlike her ghostly face. Even though this ending isn't bad by any means, and she finally found her peace, it seems as if being alongside Chad would be a better ending, as they seem to be a perfect match, accompanying each other at all times and being happy. What are your thoughts? Let me know which one was the better ending for you.